with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So what are they giving away in the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Well, the main thing is that the Trans-Pacific Partnership cedes to an unelected supranational body of government bureaucrats the right to decide in secret tribunals whether some law in a member country, say the U.S., unfairly restricts trade, and if that secret tribunal concludes that the law does restrict trade or interferes with some multinational company's ability to make obscene profits doing something that the country in question has democratically decided it shouldn't be able to do, the nation's law is ruled to be invalid.
We're here today because this trade agreement is not just unjust, it's harmful to the environment, harmful to human rights, it's literally deadly. Why? By putting the corporate interest of price gouging pharmaceutical companies ahead of the right to affordable medicine for all people, this trade deal would block countries from driving down the price of life-saving medications through generic competition. That's not just wrong.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the Trans-Pacific Partnership threatens the safety of the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. Here in New York, the TPP could undermine our successful campaign to ban fracking and ongoing efforts to label GMO foods and support local agriculture.
I'm going to try to give some context to this. Okay, in other words, this just didn't happen. There's been a lot of trade agreements, secret meetings, going all the way back to the Berlin Conference of 1888, coming up to the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade, World Trade Organization, the IMF, NAFTA, and now TPP. These groups historically have always been concerned about the bottom line, trying to line their pockets.
A small town in the Andes Mountains in Peru, La Arroya is a bleak and desolate town. The hills are bleached and barren like dead bones. The river appears sick and green with pollution. And the landscape is dominated by the Doe Run plant, a lead smelting plant which cuts through the middle of the town, saddling the Rio Montaro.
What about the media on this? Where is the media? Has anybody heard anything about TPP on the media?
No. Yes.
Between August 13th and February 2015, only one nightly network news show, PBS News, mentioned a trade deal, and they only mentioned it 8 times. ABC, CBS, NBC didn't mention a TPP once. Our major medias didn't mention this once in a year and a half. This is the biggest trade deal of all time, and our corporate media said, don't worry about it.
That's because the TPP is not about trade. It's more about deregulatory business as usual. It's about global harmonization and equivalence of standards, what we also call a race to the bottom.
In 2011, La Arroya was named the second most contaminated place in the world by the Blacksmith Institute. 98% of the children in La Arroya have levels of lead poisoning and cadmium in their blood that are more than 10 times the levels at which the World Health Organization recommends treatment.
NAFTA allows for our jobs to be exported out of this city and country. For example, we are in the building today was one time oldest elevator. It's gone. You had General Motors in Tarrytown, gone. You have Polychrome right down the street, gone. You have Phillips Dodge, gone. You have Delwood Milk Factory, gone. You have the carpet factory, gone. And what you now have is essentially a service economy.
In 2009, the Doe Run Company sued the Peruvian government under the Free Trade Agreement of Peru, claiming that because the Peruvian government had tried to enforce their own environmental laws, they had forced them into bankruptcy. And they are now suing the government of Peru for $800 million in lost potential profits.
The TPP, we're now actively wasting our international financial investments by forcing countries into stringent name-brand patent drug usage, which should be obvious is about profits to pharma and not about treating and ending epidemics to humans.
The bounties of the earth are not free to all. They've become commodities to be traded on the open market. We've seen the destruction of whole economies because some big corporation comes in and decides to appropriate the resources of a local community. The truly alarming thing is that these things can happen here if the Trans-Pacific Partnership is allowed to go through.